Welcome to a special Year in Review edition of Northeast Journal. I'm your host, Joe Cullen. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll take a look back at our favorite stories and interviews from 2018. All that and more is straight ahead on this special edition of Northeast Journal. Hello everyone and welcome to this special edition of Northeast Journal. I'm your host, Joe Cullen. Every month on Northeast Journal we give you an inside look at the people and places that make up the Northeast section of the Twin Cities. It's hard to believe, but somehow 2018 has gone by seemingly as quickly as it started. Throughout this half hour we're going to take a look back at a collection of stories and interviews we did this past year. First up, here's a look at our experience snowshoeing at the Oakdale Discovery Center.
It's our hidden gem, 220 acres of trails, paved and grass trails. People come out and in the summer obviously bike ride, walk the trails, run. In the winter, snowshoe, cross-country ski. Fun family activity, get you out in the winter. Sometimes people have a hard time finding things to do and enjoy in the winter, but this is a fun activity where we get people out and discover the Oakdale Nature Preserve. Stop by the Discovery Center. We have a display room that's open business hours 8 to 4:30 Monday through Friday, also on the weekend hours. And kids can come in and we have plaster pods, different activities, touch tables, puzzles, lots of different fun things that'll keep them busy in the winter months. We've got trail maps as well that you can look at and they'll kind of help you navigate the park as well. Lots of wildlife, lots of deer and lots of birds. Check it out, give us a call, stop in. Only $5 to rent the skis. We've got sizes for adults and kids. So it'd be a great opportunity to come out and get outside.
We had a very unique guest on Northeast Journal early in the year. Let's meet Sophia the robot.
It's not every day that a world-class speaker comes to Century College, and it's likely even rarer that the speaker isn't human. Century College teamed up with the White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce to bring in Sophia, the world's first citizen robot.
Today we networked with White Bear Lake Chamber and Hanson Robotics and Century College to bring the Sophia robot to this community, so for students and the community people to kind of get a glimpse of the future and to see what's coming down the pike, especially in the area of robotics and artificial intelligence. So pretty exciting day.
The crowd was full of students and also business leaders from the area. Many in attendance were familiar with Sophia thanks to numerous media appearances, including a recent visit on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Sophia has lifelike features and a human-sounding voice. White Bear Area Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Tom Snell tells us how bringing in Sophia is important for the community.
We need to be able to point to our community as being a real center of innovation and really a groundbreaking opportunity for people to be attracted to move in here, people that are in what is often considered or called the creative class. And so we need to create that kind of an image in our community to market our program to those types of people, and events like that help make that happen.
Scott Simonson is the director of the Century College Fab Lab, which is a digital fabrication laboratory. He says the event was a great opportunity for his students.
One of the most important things for students is to realize the opportunities in the STEM field and to realize where the future is going to be evolving from both a workforce and from an educational perspective, and the students to realize some of the opportunities linked to engineering and technology, but also for liberal arts students to kind of see what the workforce is going to look like and what some of the technologies that are going to be present that they're going to be interfacing with in a variety of ways. So it's really an educational day.
Sophia spoke to the crowd about how she and other prototypes will transform the healthcare industry. After the event, people lined up for the chance for a photo with Sophia. You can learn more about her at sophiabot.com.
Here's a look at some of the other stories we've brought you on Northeast Journal in 2018.
We bought the old Coffee Cottage business on April 30th at 7 o'clock at night, and we opened up on May 1st at 6 a.m. I have been looking to have my own coffee house for about 20 years and have actively pursued it for 20 years, and it just never panned out. It never worked out. I've looked at 100 different places. We're striving for homemade, local community, and so we make most of our baked goods. We roast our own coffee beans. My husband's a scientist, and he has spent a couple years learning about the art and the science of coffee roasting, and so we roast our own beans right here at the shop, and so they're amazing. And we're just about small town community. We've transitioned to being known for our chai tea. We buy our herbs from a company called Anahata up in Duluth. It's a husband and wife team, and it's just straight herbs. We mix it with sweetened condensed milk, and our chai is rich, it's bold, it's incredible, and it's kind of become a big deal here. As for drinks, our coffee as well, we sell it by the pound or the half pound. You can buy it in bulk, and people are really, really liking our coffee, and also our cold brew coffee. We sell a ton of cold brew. It's super rich and not acidic, and we sell a lot of it. People really like it. We have this gorgeous new patio out here that the city and the county put together, and I'd love to see some music out there and community activities out there, and we're looking forward to the farmers market and really building our coffee roasting business and just continue our community gathering, being the community gathering space.
Well, the whole idea is it's a non-judgmental person listening. They don't care if they don't read a word right or if they don't read loud enough. And it kind of gives them, with most of the kids, I think it builds their confidence as the reading time goes on longer. With some of the kids, they're natural with it, and the ones that aren't are the ones that maybe have some shyness issues. It's really good to see. I was a shy kid, so it's nice to see them come out of their shell.
It just kind of happened by accident. One day we were here and we saw the dogs, and then he was kind of afraid of dogs, so then I encouraged him to go in and read to Sting.
Write a letter to someone. It's pretty fun because you actually get to read to the dogs, and they're technically just sleeping some of the time, so.
He lays there. Sometimes he'll lay on his side. Hopefully most of the time his eyes are open, so that's always a big bonus we shoot for. You get to see the kids kind of start out slowly. You can maybe just barely hear them read, and by the end, they're really getting excited about it.
I saw an opportunity and had a vision for a concept for an apparel brand that better represented the consumer with a wearable item. So we're heavy into headwear, t-shirts, zips, hoodies. We're more about the soul, the Minnesotan. So we're really diving into running deep with niche traditions, culture, lifestyle, events, landmarks, places that really evoke memory and emotion for the consumer. You know, I'm from the area. My dad grew up in White Bear Lake. I grew up in Forest Lake, so I'm very familiar with the Northeast Metro. I grew up in retail, been in retail all my life. So we're definitely a vintage, a heritage brand. So what better place than downtown White Bear Lake to open up our old school vintage brand, the Minnesotan. The response and reception has been good to our brand and our products. We're unique to the marketplace, and I think that's what people are looking for these days, especially with an apparel item, a wearable garment. The one collection that's been a lot of fun for us to do is what we call our old school collection. So we're celebrating the bygone high schools in the area, like of course Mariner. That was an easy one to start with. We're doing Kellogg, Ramsey, we've got St. Bernard's, we're doing Bloomington Lincoln, St. Paul, Washington. So with that collection, we're finding that the spirit lives on, even though the schools are gone, but there's so many alumni in the area, and you know, nostalgia is a strong thing these days, and we're finding that the consumer is really drawn to that. We're excited to be part of the community, and there's just so much content for us to capture out there from a design standpoint. So we're just looking forward to finding those stories and pushing out those designs and getting those products out into the marketplace.
It's time for a short break. When we come back on this special edition of Northeast Journal, we'll take a look at some of the in-studio interviews we did in 2018. We'll be right back.
You're going to need me. You're going to need all of us. You're going to need the next generation of leaders to face the challenges the future will bring. And we promise we'll be there when you need us.
Extra DWI enforcement is now being served on Minnesota roads. Don't be what you drink.
Some of today's veterans have a new battle to fight. It's unemployment.
The unemployment rate of today's veterans coming home from war is 12%.
That's twice the Heartland average.
Tribute to the troops and the armed forces are asking for your help. Hire today's veteran.
Visit positivelyminnesota.com/veterans.
Welcome back to this special year in review edition of Northeast Journal. Every month on the show, I like to invite a guest to this very studio right here for a more in-depth interview. Here's a look at some of the great guests that we've talked to in 2018. Welcome back to Northeast Journal. In February at the Winter Olympics in South Korea, Hannah Brandt from Vadnais Heights won a gold medal as part of the U.S. women's hockey team. Hannah is here today to tell us about her Olympic experience. And Hannah, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me here.
And last month on our show, we had a story about you and your sister, Marissa, and the event they had in Vadnais Heights to honor you guys. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers are already kind of familiar with who you are. But first off, can you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself? I understand you're originally from this area, Vadnais Heights.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Vadnais Heights, and then I played youth hockey for White Bear Lake. And it was so much fun to be able to come back and have that event with my sister and be able to share our experience with the community and to be able to go out and skate with some of the little kids. And I'm just excited to be back home, and this is where I grew up, and this is where I want to be able to share my experience with. And
now I understand you played hockey in high school at Hill Murray,
yep,
and then collegiately at the University of Minnesota.
Yep.
So you obviously played a lot of hockey, you know, in this area, especially in the state. When did you first kind of find out, or, you know, what was the process of getting to be part of the, you know, women's national team and then ultimately on the Olympic team?
Yeah, it's a long process. I remember when I think I was 8 years old, I watched the 2002 Olympics with my mom, and I told her I want to be out there one day. So that was kind of when I set my goals of making an Olympic team. But the process to actually get there, it's a long, tedious thing. You go to camps and stuff all growing up, development camps, and I made my first national team. It was a U18 team. I was a junior in high school, and then actually the next year, as a senior in high school, I made the actual national team. I went to the World Championships as a 17-year-old. I was the youngest one on the team. And then from there, you just keep getting asked back or cut. So I got cut from the 2014 Olympic team, which was unfortunate, but made it in 2018. So I guess the journey, it was hard, but it was worth it.
And now, as I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, but your sister Marissa is also a hockey player. She played in the Olympics for the, I guess, unified Korean team. And you guys were getting a lot of, attention for that. Not only that you're sisters, both the Olympics, but the fact that you're playing for different countries. What was that like when you knew that she'd be over there playing, and just kind of everything that went into that? I know she was adopted from South Korea, so that was kind of unique too. That it wasn't like you guys were playing in Canada or something, but kind of all this just kind of came together at once.
Yeah, it was crazy how everything kind of worked out. 3 years ago, she got a call asking her to come over to Korea for a tryout, and she had just graduated from Gustavus, so she thought she was done with her hockey career, and she said, hey, why not give it a shot? So she went over there, didn't know anyone, didn't know the language very well, but she kind of fell in love with it. Her teammates were amazing, the coaches were amazing, so she stuck with it, kept going, and so she found out she had made the team, and then soon after I found out I made the team, so we were like, wow, we're going to do this together. So it was a great experience being able to see my sister in the Olympic Village, kind of hang out with her, go cheer her on, for her to be able to come cheer me on. But as both athletes, not just one of us supporting the other. It was just kind of cool to, go through that with her.
Now with, all the different scheduling and the, just sheer amount of people that are over there, I mean, was it tough to have a lot of time together?
Yes and no. I mean, it was better than we had been used to. I mean, I had been training in Florida and she had been training in Korea, so we hadn't had any time together for the past year or two. So we made it work. We kind of saw each other at least once a day. Getting to her games is tough just because, like you said, I mean, there's so many people, so many things going on. Our schedules are different, but I figured out the bus schedule. I got to as much of her games as I could. Sometimes it was a period, sometimes it was 2 periods, but I did my best to be able to support her, and she was able to make quite a few of my games. So it worked out pretty well, but it wasn't the easiest.
Welcome back to Northeast Journal. The month of August can only mean one thing. It's time for Heritage Days in Vadnais Heights. Today I'm joined in the studio by Vadnais Heights Recreation Supervisor Bridget Nault and Summer Recreation Assistant Ray Johannesson to learn more about this popular annual community festival. I want to thank you both so much for coming here today.
Thanks for inviting us.
And I hope I got your last name right.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. And we have you on, I think, every year, Bridget. Usually you bring somebody with you. And but for people maybe who are new to the area, can you kind of tell us exactly what is Heritage Days?
Sure. Well, this is our 43rd year, and it is a wonderful celebration of community. People get together who've lived in Vadnais before and now don't live there any longer, and people in the surrounding communities come in addition to Vadnais Heights residents. And we have something for everyone. We have a senior picnic, and we've got a kiddie parade and everything in between. So a good chance to meet some new people and enjoy people you already know. And we have just fun activities and great food, pig roast, booyah, and every year it's a little different, but every year you'll see many of the same things.
Yeah, I know. I have a list here. There's so many events, and of course one of the popular ones is the parade, which Suburban Community Channels, where we're at right now, we provide coverage of that every year, and I understand you have some exciting grand marshals of the parade this year.
Yeah, we're very excited about having the Brandt sisters, who were just recently in the Olympics, and Hannah being on the USA team, and they won USA, and then also Marissa being on the Korean team, and quite exciting and historical combination of North Korea and South Korea. Really what the Olympics is all about in terms of international togetherness, and we're all on this planet together. So very, very exciting, and they're homegrown. They grew up in Vadnais and used to skate at our community park ice rink, and look at them today. So, and very proud parents, and just a joy to have in our community. And the warming house is named after, and the rink is named after the Brandt sisters. So once again, to celebrate this unique history of our community. So.
And I know they're both really busy, so I'm sure to be able to get them for this was great for the city.
Really fantastic.
Now, Ray, I understand you've been, working with the city for the summer. What are some of the duties and some of the things you've been doing working with Heritage Days?
Yeah, I've been working a lot with the senior picnic, registering people for that and getting things ready, as well as the kiddie parade that we're excited about during Heritage Days, and then working a lot with the parades, the registrations for people, and I'm really excited for Heritage Days. I've never attended it, and I'm super excited with everything we have to see what it's all about.
I understand, you're a college student. Is this something you're hoping to go into, kind of working in Parks and Recreation?
Yes, it's something I'm really interested in. I like working with kids and with people, so it's been a lot of fun this summer.
I'm sure there's no shortage of things to keep you busy, because
no.
a lot of work goes into putting on this festival every year.
Yes, a lot of work, but a lot of fun. Yeah.
She was in charge last night of our movie in the park, and in the past 3 years we had it part of Heritage Days, and we decided this year to have it be a standalone event. And she was in charge last night, and it went very, very nicely. So.
Oh, good. I'm sure you're probably a little nervous some of the weather throughout the day.
Yes, we got lucky with the weather.
Perfect.
Yes, it was good.
Yeah,
cleared up, cool enough.
Seems like every year those are becoming more and more popular, and people bringing the kids out for that. And was it Coco? Was the movie?
Yes,
it was
that's
Coco. Really popular movie, so I'm sure that was well attended. And,
yes, the kids liked it.
Great, and glad you had some good weather. And what are some other exciting things that people are going to find at Heritage Days this year?
Well, we have Kat Perkins from The Voice, and she'll be singing on Sunday afternoon after the parade. And first is going to be the children's performing arts show choir that will be performing first, and one number with Kat Perkins. So the kids are real excited to perform with Kat.
Welcome back to Northeast Journal. April is National Autism Awareness Month. The Autism Society of Minnesota exists to enhance the lives of individuals with autism spectrum disorder through support, collaboration, and advocacy. Today I'm joined by the Executive Director of the Autism Society of Minnesota, Ellie Wilson. Ellie, I want to thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, hi Joe, thanks.
And we're so glad to have you here. I know you're new to us, at least. You're still fairly new in the position. For past few years, we've had Jonah Weinberg on here.
That's right.
And he left to pursue other opportunities. So now you're the executive director. How long have you been in this position?
I started in October of 2017, so I'm almost again 6 months.
Great. And how are you feeling about it so far?
So far, so good. In fact, I worked for the Autism Society previously. I used to be their head of education and training. And so I went away for a year or a little more to work in another place, to work for the University of Minnesota. And when the call came that Jonah had left his position and they were looking for somebody, I got pretty excited about that. Kind of felt like coming home. I'm very happy there.
So it seems like it's a good fit so far?
Great fit.
And I explained a little bit in the intro kind of what the Autism Society is all about. And like I said, we've talked about your organization a number of times over the years, but since it's been a while, can you just tell us a little bit about what you guys do?
Sure. The Autism Society has been around since 1971, which is when I was negative 14 years old. It started as a parent organization, parents who were looking to support their kids who at the time didn't have a whole lot of resources or acceptance in their communities. Since then, we've grown tremendously, and now really what we do is we try to provide access to various resources across the state. So we're a statewide organization, we're a nonprofit organization, and we host all kinds of trainings and programs ourselves, but we also try to be the place anybody can call to get connected to resources in their own Minnesota community, wherever that is.
Great. And, you know, again, this is something I've talked about a lot in my program, but I know people still, sometimes get confused when they hear the term autism. And since we mentioned the spectrum, so I mean, it can be confusing. There's so many different variations along the spectrum, but just generally, how would you define autism?
Yeah, so an important thing to know is autism is a developmental disability, which means it's something you're born with. It's not something that happens when you're 5 or 10 years old or later. And really, the important thing to know is that autism sort of affects how your brain grows from the time you're very young. And all of our brains tend to grow a little bit differently anyways, and autism just adds in a little bit more variation in how we grow and develop. And so what that turns out to be is that by the time kids are entering school or in school or approaching adulthood, we see differences in how they think, in how they process information, and most often how they socialize with other people. That tends to be the key characteristic that differentiates it from other types of disabilities.
And like I said, there's that wide spectrum, everything from severe to maybe higher functioning, and maybe some kind of unique challenges along the way. But you know, many, if not most of these kids are usually very smart.
That's right.
But maybe just have difficulty interacting with people, or maybe don't speak, but there's certainly a lot going on inside.
That's right. There's actually a word for that. And if we're going to get technical and fancy here, it's called splintered skills. In a typically developing brain, there are a whole lot of your skills that sort of develop together because that development is kind of interdependent. What we see in people with autism is that they tend to develop really great strengths that are sometimes better than peers without disabilities. But then sometimes they have challenges that seem to be more so than those with other types of disabilities. There's almost no pattern in how those skills develop, and that's why we get so much variation in the spectrum.
Now, I know just a few weeks ago you held your annual walk that you do every year, the Steps of Hope Walk. Can you tell me how that went this year?
Sure, we had an excellent year this year. Steps of Hope is a free activity that we host for families every year. We use it as a fundraiser for the Autism Society to try to develop our own services and our own programs that we can offer to Minnesota families.
That's all we have time for on this special edition of Northeast Journal. I want to thank all of you that take the time to watch our show each month on SEC or online. If you ever have something you'd like to see on Northeast Journal, please feel free to let us know. Our contact info can be found on our website, sectv.org. From all of us here at SEC, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in 2019. Happy holidays.